After 5 hours of closed-door meeting to harmonize position on the argument for and against extension of emergency rule, the Senate finally assented to President Goodluck Jonathan's request for another 6-month extension of emergency rule in Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa states. Senators from the affected states were initially strongly opposed to an extension of emergency rule, even as they argued that military operations should be sustained in the northeast. However, in approving the extension of emergency rule, the Senate called for special recruitment into the armed forces and a Marshall Plan to revamp the economy of the northeast devastated by the increasing wave of insurgency. The motion, read by Senate Leader Victor Ndomaiba, also welcomed international support to curb insurgency and urged the federal government to ensure proper kitting of the armed forces.
This Senate resolves to approve the extension of the proclamation of a state of emergency as contained in the Emergency Powers General Regulations 2013, effective in Adamawa, Borno and Yobe States, to remain in force for a further period of 6 months in accordance with the terms and conditions, content and context as earlier passed by the National Assembly. In addition, urge that full military operations be undertaken on a sustained basis to rout the insurgents. That special recruitments into armed forces of screened and vetted youths, particularly those of the civilian JTF, who will receive emergency training and deployed in the trouble zone in order to beef up the strength of our troops and win the hearts and minds of the locals. That the federal government, in conjunction with state governments, come up with an economic Marshall Plan to revive the economies of the affected states.
By the Leader of the Senate, with all the conditionalities attached, I so second, Mr. President.
In his remarks, Senate President David Mark commended the unanimous position for an extension of emergency rule.
By the Leader of the Senate and seconded by the Minority Leader. Say aye. Aye. Again say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, I want to appreciate and thank you for the painstaking discussion that took place and the subsequent approval. We stand shoulder to shoulder and strongly behind our colleagues from all the states affected. We take this in the same vein that we are all equally affected and that this is a national issue.
The Senate had earlier met with security chiefs before agreeing to an extension of emergency rule in the northeastern states of Yobe, Adamawa and Borno. Ene Okun, ITV News, Abuja.